I walked into the house and heard my family whispering behind the closed kitchen door. And when I leaned in to listen, I realized they weren't talking about a stranger. They were talking about me. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought they'd hear it through the wood. I pressed my ear closer, barely breathing, and that's when I heard my daughter's voice. My baby girl, the one I'd rocked to sleep 1,000 nights, say words that would haunt me forever. "He's just so pathetic. I can't believe Mom stayed with him this long." The laughter that followed. God, that laughter cut deeper than any knife ever could. I stood there frozen, my hand still on the doorknob, my work boots leaving dirt marks on the floor I'd installed myself 3 summers ago. The same floor where my kids took their first steps. The same floor where we'd dance on Saturday mornings while pancakes burned on the stove. And now I was standing on it, eavesdropping on my own family like some kind of criminal in my own home. But let me back up. Let me tell you who I was before. That moment shattered everything. Because you need to understand what I'm about to lose. What I've already lost. My name is David Mitchell, and for 23 years, I thought I was living the American dream. I really did. I had a wife, Sarah, who I met in college when we were both young and stupid and full of hope. She had this laugh that could light up a room, and when she looked at me back then, I swear, I felt like I could conquer the world. We got married right after graduation. Small ceremony, just family and close friends, nothing fancy because we were broke as hell. But we were happy. God, we were so happy. I worked construction. Started as a laborer, worked my way up to foreman, eventually started my own contracting business. It wasn't glamorous work. I'd come home every night with dust in my lungs, paint on my hands, splinters I'd have to dig out before dinner. But I was proud. I was building things. I was building our life. Sarah stayed home with the kids when they were young. We had 2. Jennifer came first, and 3 years later, Marcus. Jennifer had Sarah's eyes and my stubborn streak. From the time she could talk, she had an opinion about everything. But she was sweet, too. Used to leave me little drawings under my pillow. Stick figures of our family holding hands under a rainbow. I kept every single one in a box in the garage. Marcus was my little buddy. Quiet kid. Thoughtful. He'd follow me around on weekends when I was doing projects around the house, handing me tools, asking a million questions. "Why do you use that nail and not this one, Dad? How do you know the wall is straight?" I'd answer every single question, no matter how tired I was, because I wanted him to know things. I wanted him to be better prepared for life than I was. Dinners were sacred in our house. 6 o'clock every night we sat down together. No phones, no TV, just us. We'd go around the table and everyone would share their high and low from the day. It was Sarah's idea, and I loved it. I loved hearing about Jennifer's drama with her friends, Marcus's victories in video games, Sarah's plans for redecorating the living room for the 100th time. I'd sit there, exhausted from a 12-hour day, and just feel full, complete. Like everything I was breaking my back for actually meant something. I trusted Sarah with everything. She handled the finances, made the big decisions about the kids' schools, planned our vacations. I was happy to let her. She was smarter than me about that stuff, more organized. I was just the workhorse, you know. I brought home the money, fixed what broke, and tried to be present when I wasn't dead on my feet. Looking back now, I can see how blind I was, how naive. But back then, I thought trust was the foundation of love. I thought if you loved someone, you gave them everything and expected nothing but their love in return. I was such a fool. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday in March. I remember because it was Marcus's 17th birthday, and I'd taken off early to help Sarah set up for his party. Nothing big, just family and a few of his friends. But when I walked in the house at 3 in the afternoon, Sarah jumped like I'd caught her doing something wrong. She was on her phone, sitting at the kitchen counter, and the second she heard the door, she practically threw it across the room. "Jesus, David, you scared me," she said, hand on her chest like I'd appeared out of thin air. "Sorry, honey. I texted you I was leaving early." I didn't see it. She picked up her phone, checked the screen, then put it face down on the counter. Face down. She never did that. "Everything okay?" I asked, setting down the balloons I'd picked up from the party store. "Fine. Everything's fine. Just stressed about the party." But she wouldn't look at me. And when I moved to kiss her, she turned her head so I got her cheek instead of her lips. I told myself I was being paranoid. She was stressed. Planning parties stressed her out. It was fine. It wasn't fine. After that, little things started piling up, small enough that I could explain them away, but together, they formed a pattern I couldn't ignore forever. Sarah changed her phone password. When I asked her about it one morning, casually, not accusingly, she said she did it for security reasons, after reading an article about identity theft. Made sense, I guess. But why didn't she tell me the new one? We'd always shared passwords. It was just what married people did, right? Marcus started getting weird with me. My son, who used to tell me everything, suddenly became this closed-off stranger. He'd grunt one-word answers to my questions, spend all his time in his room, leave the room when I entered. At first, I thought it was typical teenage stuff, but it felt different. It felt personal. And Jennifer. God, Jennifer was the worst. She'd come home from college for spring break, and it was like she'd been replaced by someone who despised me. Every word out of my mouth was met with an eye roll or a heavy sigh. Every attempt at conversation died before it started. "How's school, Jen?" "Fine. Your mom says you made Dean's List. I'm really proud of you, sweetheart." "Thanks." No eye contact, no smile. Just a flat, emotionless acknowledgement, like I was a stranger making small talk at a bus stop. I tried to talk to Sarah about it. "Have I done something to upset Jennifer?" I asked, one night after the kids were in bed. Sarah barely looked up from her laptop. "She's just growing up, David. Not everything is about you." That stung. But I swallowed it down like I swallowed down everything else. Then came the inside jokes. Oh God, the inside jokes were torture. I'd walk into a room and they'd all be laughing, Sarah, Jennifer, Marcus, and the second they saw me, they'd stop. Just stop. Like someone hit a pause button. They'd exchange these looks, these meaningful glances that excluded me completely, and then someone would change the subject. "What's so funny?" I'd ask, trying to smile, trying to be part of it. "Nothing, Dad," Jennifer would say in that condescending tone that made me feel about 2 inches tall. "You wouldn't get it." You wouldn't get it. Like I was too stupid, too out of touch, too irrelevant. I started to feel like a ghost in my own home. I'd walk through the house I'd built with my own 2 hands, past the walls I'd painted, under the ceiling I'd repaired, and feel like I didn't belong, like I was trespassing. One night I came home late from a job site. We were behind schedule, and I'd stayed to help the crew finish framing. And when I walked in, the house was dark except for the light in the living room. I could hear voices, low, conspiratorial voices. I moved quietly down the hallway, and that's when I heard Sarah say my name. "David doesn't need to know about this," she said. "It'll just complicate things." "Are you sure?" That was Jennifer. "I mean, eventually he's going to figure it out." "Let me handle your father," Sarah said, and there was something in her tone, something cold and calculating, that made my blood run cold. I should have walked in right then. Should have demanded to know what the hell they were talking about. But I didn't. I was too much of a coward. Instead, I backed away slowly, went upstairs, and lay in bed staring at the ceiling until Sarah came up an hour later and slipped in beside me like nothing was wrong. The receipt started showing up in April. I wasn't snooping. Not intentionally, anyway. I was looking for a Home Depot receipt in Sarah's car because I needed to return some faulty hinges, and I found a stack of other receipts rubber-banded together in the glove compartment. Restaurants I'd never been to, a hotel in the city, just one night, 3 weeks ago. I'd been on a job 2 hours away that night. She'd said she was staying home with Marcus. Jewelry from a boutique I'd never heard of. Expensive jewelry. I hadn't bought her jewelry in years, not because I didn't want to, but because she always said she didn't need it. That I should save the money for the kids' college funds. My hands were shaking as I looked through them. There had to be an explanation. There had to be a reason. But when I asked her about the hotel receipt, carefully, gently, trying not to sound accusatory, she didn't miss a beat. "Oh, that. Jennifer came home that weekend for a surprise visit. We got a hotel room in the city and had a girls' weekend. Didn't I tell you?" "No," I said, slowly. "You didn't. Must have slipped my mind. You were working anyway. We didn't want to bother you." She smiled at me. She actually smiled, like this was the most normal thing in the world, like I was being silly for even asking. And I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly that I convinced myself I was being paranoid. That I was looking for problems where there weren't any. But that night, I called Jennifer. "Hey, Jen, quick question. Did you come home a few weekends ago, like mid-April?" There was a pause, a long pause. No, Dad. I haven't been home since spring break." "Why?" My mouth went dry. No reason. Must have gotten my dates mixed up. "How's everything going with finals?" We chatted for another minute, but I don't remember what either of us said. All I could think about was that hotel receipt. Sarah had lied to me. Straight to my face, without hesitation, she had lied. After that, I couldn't stop myself. I started paying attention to everything, every word, every action, every unexplained absence. I noticed that Sarah took her phone with her everywhere now. And I mean everywhere. Bathroom, shower, even just to walk out to check the mail, like it was attached to her hand. I noticed that on Wednesdays, she'd leave the house around noon and wouldn't come back until 4 or 5. When I asked where she went, she said book club. But one Wednesday, I drove past the house where book club supposedly met, and her car wasn't there. I called her. She didn't answer. When she got home that evening, I asked how book club was. "Oh, it was great," she said, not looking at me. "We're reading this amazing thriller. You'd hate it." Lie after lie after lie. Marcus started disappearing at the same time as Sarah. He'd say he was going to a friend's house, but his location on the family tracking app, which I'd only checked because I was worried about him, not because I was spying, would show him in completely different places. The mall, the park. Once, downtown near Sarah's book club. When I confronted him about it, he got defensive. "Why are you tracking me? Don't you trust me?" "It's not about trust, Marcus. I just want to know you're safe." "I'm 17, Dad. I'm fine." "God, you're so controlling." Controlling. Me. The guy who'd given them everything, asked for nothing, never questioned anything until I had no choice. It all came to a head on a Friday night in late May. I came home from work exhausted, ready to collapse on the couch, and I walked into an empty house. No note, no text, nothing. I called Sarah, straight to voicemail. I called Marcus. No answer. Jennifer was at school, so I didn't bother her, but I was starting to panic. Where was everyone? I checked the calendar on the fridge. Nothing scheduled. I checked our shared family calendar online. Nothing. And then, at almost 9 o'clock at night, I heard the front door open. All three of them walked in, Sarah, Marcus, and Jennifer, who apparently had come home for the weekend without telling me. They were laughing, carrying shopping bags, looking happy and relaxed like they'd had the best day ever. "Where were you guys?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. They all froze, looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. "We went shopping," Sarah finally said. "Jennifer wanted to pick up some things before going back to school." "And no one thought to tell me? Or invite me?" "You were at work, David. We didn't want to bother you." "I've been home for 3 hours. I was worried sick." Jennifer rolled her eyes, actually rolled her eyes at me, and said, "God, Dad, we're not children. We don't have to report our every move to you." "I'm not asking you to report your every move. I'm asking for basic communication. We're a family." "Are we?" Marcus muttered under his breath. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," Sarah said quickly. "He didn't mean anything. Everyone's just tired. Let's not do this tonight." But I couldn't let it go. Not anymore. "No," I said, and my voice was shaking. "I want to know what's going on. You've all been acting strange for months, hiding things from me, lying to me. What the hell is happening?" The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah looked at the kids. The kids looked at Sarah. And then Jennifer said something that made my heart stop. "Maybe we should just tell him." "Not tonight," Sarah said sharply. "Jennifer, not tonight." "Tell me what?" My voice cracked. "What do you need to tell me?" "David, please," Sarah said, and she actually reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Let's talk about this tomorrow, when everyone's calmer." "I'm calm." I wasn't calm. I was anything but calm. "Tell me right now what's going on." But they didn't. They scattered. Jennifer grabbed her bags and went upstairs. Marcus mumbled something about homework and disappeared into his room. And Sarah just stood there, looking at me with something I couldn't quite read in her eyes. Pity? Guilt? "Tomorrow," she said softly. "I promise we'll talk tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. Not the way she meant it, anyway. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Sarah, listening to her breathe, wondering if she was really asleep or just pretending, wondering who this woman was, wondering when I'd lost her. Around 2 in the morning, I gave up. I went downstairs, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table in the dark, trying to make sense of everything. That's when I heard them, voices coming from the living room. I moved quietly to the doorway and saw them all there, Sarah, Jennifer, Marcus, huddled together on the couch, talking in low voices. We can't keep putting this off, Jennifer was saying. It's not fair to anyone. I know, Sarah said. I know. I need to find the right time. There's never going to be a right time, Mom. Just do it. Do what? I said, stepping into the room. They all jumped. Sarah's hand flew to her chest. David, you scared us. Seems like I'm doing that a lot lately. I looked at each of them. What can't you keep putting off? What's not fair? What do you need to do, Sarah? More silence. More of those damn looks between them that excluded me. And then Jennifer stood up. My daughter, my 21-year-old daughter who I'd given everything to, looked me dead in the eye and said, Mom wants a divorce, Dad. She's been wanting one for over a year. We all think it's the right thing. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually staggered back a step. What? I looked at Sarah. Is that true? Sarah stood up too, and her eyes were filled with tears, but her voice was steady. David, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to find out like this. But yes, I want a divorce. I haven't been happy for a long time, and I don't think you have either. We've just been going through the motions. I couldn't breathe. Sarah, what are you talking about? I love you. I've always loved you. I know you think you do, she said, and God, the condescension in her tone. But love isn't enough. We've grown apart. We want different things. I need to do this for me. For my happiness. What about my happiness? My voice was breaking. What about our family? The family will be fine, Jennifer said. We'll adjust. People get divorced all the time, Dad. It's not the end of the world. I looked at my daughter, my baby girl, and I didn't recognize her. You knew about this? I asked. You both knew? Of course we knew, Marcus said, speaking up for the first time. Mom told us months ago. We've been helping her figure things out. Helping her. They'd been helping her leave me. Why didn't anyone tell me? I was begging now. I could hear the desperation in my own voice, and I hated it. But I couldn't stop. Why did you all conspire behind my back? We weren't conspiring, Sarah said. We were trying to find the right way to do this. The right time. There's never a right time to destroy someone's life, I shouted, and they all flinched. I never yelled. In 23 years of marriage, I'd never raised my voice to any of them. But I was yelling now. I was breaking. Dad, calm down, Jennifer said. You're being dramatic. I'm being dramatic? My wife just told me she wants a divorce, and apparently my entire family has known about it for months, and I'm being dramatic. See, this is exactly why we didn't tell you, Marcus said. We knew you'd react like this. Like what? Like a human being? Like someone whose world was falling apart? I looked at Sarah, really looked at her, and I saw the truth there. She wasn't sad. She wasn't conflicted. She was relieved. Relieved that it was finally out in the open. Relieved that she didn't have to pretend anymore. Is there someone else? I asked quietly. She hesitated. Just for a second, but it was enough. Oh my God, I breathed. There is. There's someone else. David, who is it? That's not important right now. Who is it, Sarah? She looked at the kids, then back at me. His name is Michael. He's a good man, David. He treats me well. He listens to me. He sees me. And I don't? You didn't. Not for a long time. You were always working, always tired, always focused on everyone else but me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. I had been working for her. For them. Every hour. Every day. Every ounce of sweat and blood and exhaustion had been for this family. And she'd been cheating on me, with some guy named Michael who sees her. How long? I asked. Does it matter? How long, Sarah? She sighed. About a year and a half. A year and a half? A year and a half of lies. Of her sleeping next to me at night and texting him in the morning. Of her saying she loved me while planning her escape. And you two knew? I looked at Jennifer and Marcus. You knew your mother was cheating on me? It's not cheating if the marriage is already over, Jennifer said. The marriage wasn't over. Not for me. I was still here. I was still trying. You were here physically, Sarah said. But you weren't present, David. You never were. And there it was. The narrative they'd all agreed on. The story they'd told themselves to justify this. I was the bad guy. I was the absent husband. The neglectful father. Never mind that I'd worked myself to the bone to provide for them. Never mind that I'd sacrificed everything. I want you out, Sarah said, and her voice was cold now, businesslike. I've already talked to a lawyer. I think it's best if you find somewhere else to stay while we work out the details. This is my house, I said. I built this house. And we can discuss asset division with the lawyers, but right now, I need you to leave. The kids don't need to see this. The kids who had betrayed me right alongside her. I looked at Jennifer and Marcus, waiting for one of them, just one of them, to say something, to defend me, to tell their mother she was wrong. They didn't. They just stood there, united against me. And that's when I realized I'd already lost them. Maybe I'd lost them a long time ago and just didn't know it. I left that night, threw some clothes in a bag, grabbed my laptop and some toiletries, and walked out of my own house at 3 a.m. I got a motel room off the highway, one of those cheap places with stained carpets and thin walls, and I sat on the edge of the bed and cried like I hadn't cried since I was a child. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd believed in, gone. Just gone. The divorce papers came 2 weeks later. Sarah was asking for the house, half my business, and full custody of Marcus since he was still a minor. She wanted alimony. She wanted half my retirement. I hired a lawyer, but my heart wasn't in it. How do you fight someone you still love? How do you battle for assets and custody when all you really want is to turn back time and figure out where it all went wrong? The months that followed were a blur of court dates and mediation sessions and lawyers' fees that drained my savings. Sarah got the house. Of course she did. The judge said it was in Marcus's best interest to stay in his childhood home. My business had to be evaluated. My retirement split down the middle. Jennifer stopped talking to me entirely. Blocked my number, refused to see me when I drove to her college. She blamed me for everything. Blamed me for not being enough, for not making her mother happy, for not being the father she deserved. Marcus was more subtle in his rejection. He'd still take my calls sometimes, but our conversations were stilted, awkward. He'd talk about school and his friends, but never about his feelings, never about what was happening, and he never ever asked how I was doing. Sarah married Michael 8 months after our divorce was finalized. They sent me a wedding invitation. I don't know if it was meant to be cruel or if they genuinely thought I'd want to celebrate with them. I threw it in the trash. 4 years. 4 years I spent trying to rebuild my life. I moved into a small apartment across town. Threw myself into work because it was the only thing that made sense anymore. Started therapy because I was having panic attacks and couldn't sleep and kept waking up thinking I heard my family laughing in the other room. The therapist told me I had to accept that some relationships are toxic, even if they don't look toxic from the outside. She told me I had to grieve what I'd lost and let go of the fantasy of what I thought I had. But how do you let go of 23 years? How do you stop loving people just because they stopped loving you? I dated a little. Nothing serious. I couldn't commit to anyone new when I was still so broken from the past. Most women took one look at the mess I was and ran in the other direction. I didn't blame them. I stopped checking social media after I saw pictures of Sarah and Michael on a beach vacation with my kids. They all looked so happy, like a perfect family, like I'd never existed. Jennifer graduated from college. I wasn't invited to the ceremony. Found out about it when Marcus mentioned it in passing during one of our rare phone calls. Life moved on. The world kept turning. And I was just stuck. Stuck in this weird limbo between the life I'd lost and a future I couldn't imagine. Then, one night last month, my phone rang. It was late, almost 11, and I didn't recognize the number. Almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Dad? It was Jennifer, and she was crying. I sat up straight, my heart pounding. Jen? What's wrong? Are you okay? Dad, I need to talk to you. Okay, I'm here. What's going on? She was quiet for a moment, and I could hear her trying to catch her breath. I'm so sorry, she finally said. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what, sweetheart? For everything. For what we did to you. For what I said. For taking Mom's side. For shutting you out. Dad, I've been so wrong about everything. I didn't know what to say. I'd imagined this moment 1,000 times. One of my kids finally seeing the truth, finally apologizing, but now that it was happening, I was speechless. Mom and Michael broke up, Jennifer continued, about 2 months ago, and when they did, everything just fell apart. Mom's been a mess. And she's been saying all this stuff about him, about how he manipulated her, how he was controlling, how he isolated her from her friends. And I'm sitting here listening to her and I realize, Dad, she did the exact same things to you. Everything she's accusing him of, she did to you. My throat was tight. Jen, I saw it all happening and I didn't say anything. I took her side because she made it seem like you were the problem, like you didn't love us enough, weren't present enough, didn't care enough. But you did, Dad. You did care. You were there. We just didn't appreciate it. She was full on sobbing now. I said such horrible things to you. That day when we told you about the divorce, I said, God, I said you weren't enough, that we all thought the divorce was right. And I saw your face when I said it, and I knew I was hurting you, and I did it anyway because I thought Mom needed me to be on her side. Jennifer, it's okay. It's not okay, she shouted. None of it was okay. You didn't deserve any of that. You were a good father. You worked so hard for us, and we threw it all back in your face. Marcus sees it too now. We both do. Mom's been alone since Michael left, and she's been trying to lean on us the same way she leaned on you, and we're seeing her for who she really is. And Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry we did this to you. I was crying too now. Silent tears streaming down my face. I forgive you, I whispered. Jen, I forgive you. How can you? After everything we did. Because you're my daughter. Because I love you. Because 4 years ago I would have given anything to hear you say these words. We talked for over an hour. She told me everything. how Sarah had manipulated them, how she'd painted me as the villain in every story, how she'd slowly turned them against me by feeding them lies mixed with just enough truth to make it believable. How she'd told them I didn't really love them, that I was just going through the motions, that they deserved better. And they'd believed her, because she was their mother, because they trusted her. "I don't know how to fix this," Jennifer said. "I don't know how to make this right." "You just did," I told her. "By calling me. By telling me the truth. That's enough." But it wasn't enough. Not for Jennifer. 3 days after that phone call, she showed up at my apartment. It was a Saturday morning, and I'd just gotten up when I heard the knock on the door. I opened it to find her standing there with 2 suitcases and a backpack. "Jen, what are you doing here?" "I left," she said. "I moved out of Mom's house. I can't be there anymore, Dad. I can't watch her play the victim when I know the truth now. I can't listen to her talk about you the way she does. And I can't keep pretending that what we did to you was okay." "Where are you going to go?" She looked up at me with those eyes that used to look at me like I hung the moon. "I was hoping I could stay here. With you. If you'll have me." My first instinct was to say yes. To throw open the door and welcome her in and pretend the last 4 years hadn't happened. But something stopped me. "Jen," I said slowly, "you can't just show up here and expect everything to go back to normal. I've spent 4 years rebuilding my life, 4 years healing from what you all did to me. I can't just let you back in like nothing happened." "I know," she said quickly. "I know I don't deserve it, but I'm not asking for everything to be okay. I'm just asking for a chance to prove that I've changed, that I see things differently now. Please, Dad, I don't have anywhere else to go." And there it was, the real reason. She didn't have anywhere else to go. "What about your friends? Your boyfriend?" She looked down at her feet. "Matt and I broke up, and my friends, they're Mom's friends too. When I told them I was leaving, they took her side, said I was being disloyal, that she needs support right now because of what Michael did to her. So she'd been on the receiving end of betrayal too. Now she knew how it felt. Part of me, a petty, wounded part of me, wanted to shut the door in her face. Wanted to tell her she made her choice 4 years ago and now she had to live with it. Wanted her to feel even a fraction of the pain I'd felt. But the bigger part of me, the part that had loved this girl from the moment she was born, couldn't do it. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. She started crying right there in the doorway. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Having Jennifer back has been complicated. There are good moments. When we watch movies together or cook dinner and it almost feels like old times. When she tells me about her life and asks about mine, and I can see her genuinely trying to repair what was broken. But there are hard moments, too, when I look at her and remember all the ways she hurt me. When she says something that echoes what Sarah used to say, and I flinch. When I catch myself wondering if she's really changed, or if she's just here because she needs something from me. Marcus called me last week. First time he'd initiated contact in over a year. He said he wanted to talk. Said he was starting to see things more clearly, too. Said he was sorry. I told him we could meet for coffee. We're supposed to get together next weekend. I don't know what I'm going to say to him. Don't know if I can forgive him as easily as I forgave Jennifer. He's still living with Sarah, still under her roof, still under her influence. But he called. That has to mean something. Sarah doesn't know Jennifer is living with me yet. Jennifer hasn't told her, and I certainly haven't. But she'll find out eventually. And when she does, I imagine there will be hell to pay. Part of me is bracing for it. For the angry phone calls, the accusations, the attempts to turn Jennifer against me again. For Sarah to play the victim and tell everyone I'm manipulating our daughter, stealing her away, filling her head with lies. But another part of me doesn't care anymore. Because for the first time in 4 years, I have my daughter back. Not all the way back. Not the way she was before everything fell apart. But back enough that I can hope. Back enough that I can see a future where maybe, just maybe, we can be a family again. A different kind of family. A broken, damaged, taped back together family. But a family nonetheless. You know what the hardest part is? It's not the anger. Anger I can handle. Anger is clean, straightforward. You're mad. You deal with it. You move on. The hardest part is the sadness. The deep, aching sadness that comes from knowing that the people you loved most in the world were capable of hurting you so deeply. That they looked at you, really looked at you, and decided you weren't worth fighting for. That they chose someone else's narrative over your reality. Jennifer asked me the other day if I'd ever be able to trust her completely again. And I didn't know how to answer. Because the truth is, I don't know. Some betrayals are so fundamental, so shattering, that they change the very foundation of who you are. I'm not the same man I was 4 years ago. That man was naive, trusting, believed that love and loyalty and hard work were enough, believed that family meant something unbreakable. This man knows better. This man knows that people lie, that they manipulate, that they rewrite history to make themselves the hero and you the villain, that they can look you in the eye and make you believe black is white, up is down, that your reality isn't real. This man is more careful, more guarded, less willing to give pieces of himself away without guarantee they won't be used as weapons later. And that makes me sad too, because I miss the man I used to be. I miss believing in things. I miss the innocence of trust. 3 nights ago, Jennifer and I were having dinner, just spaghetti and garlic bread, nothing fancy, and she said something that's been haunting me ever since. Dad, do you remember when I was little and I used to tell you that you were my hero? I did remember. She'd say it all the time. My daddy is my hero. It was her answer to everything. Who's your favorite person? My daddy is my hero. Who do you want to be like when you grow up? My daddy is my hero. I remember, I said. I stopped saying it when I was around 13, she continued, not looking at me, just pushing pasta around her plate. I stopped because Mom told me it was immature, that I was getting too old to worship you like that I needed to see you as a real person, with flaws, not some perfect hero. She wasn't wrong, I said. I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be. But here's the thing, Dad. She didn't just want me to see your flaws. She wanted me to only see your flaws. Every time you'd do something nice, she'd find a way to twist it. You'd work late and she'd say, you were avoiding us. You'd buy me something I wanted and she'd say, you were trying to buy my love. You'd be tired and she'd say, you didn't care enough to make an effort. She finally looked up at me, and her eyes were red. She spent years tearing you down in my head, and I let her. I helped her, because it felt good, in some twisted way, to have someone to blame for everything that wasn't perfect in our lives. It felt easier than admitting that sometimes life is just hard, or that Mom wasn't perfect either, or that I was being ungrateful. Jen, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I have to say this because you need to know. You were my hero, Dad. You always were. I just forgot for a while. But I remember now. And I'm so sorry it took losing you to remember. I couldn't speak. Couldn't do anything but reach across the table and take her hand. And we sat there, holding hands across spaghetti and garlic bread, both of us crying, both of us trying to find our way back to each other. Last week I drove past my old house. I don't know why I did it. Some kind of masochistic impulse, I guess. It was late evening and the lights were on inside. I could see figures moving behind the curtains. Sarah's car was in the driveway. So was Marcus's. I sat there for a few minutes just watching, wondering what they were doing, if they were having dinner, if they ever talked about me, if they missed me at all, or if I'd become nothing more than a cautionary tale. Remember, Dad? Remember how much better things are now that he's gone? The front door opened and Sarah stepped out. She was taking out the trash, and for a moment she looked right at my car. Right at me. I don't know if she recognized me in the darkness. Don't know if she knew it was me sitting there like some creepy stalker watching his old life from the outside. But she paused. Just for a second. Then she turned and went back inside. I drove away, and I haven't gone back since. People ask me sometimes if I hate them. If I hate Sarah for what she did. If I hate my kids for taking her side. The answer is no. I wish I could hate them. Hate would be easier. Hate would give me something clean and sharp to hold on to, something that would justify the anger and the pain. But I don't hate them. I'm sad for them. Sad that Sarah threw away 23 years for a guy who ended up being exactly what she accused me of being. Sad that Jennifer and Marcus lost years with their father because they believed a narrative that wasn't true. Sad that our family broke apart over lies and manipulation and weakness. Mostly, though, I'm sad for me. For the man I was who believed in fairy tales. Who thought that if you loved hard enough, worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, you'd get to keep what you built. I know better now. But knowing better doesn't make the pain go away. It just makes you better at living with it. Marcus came over yesterday. Our coffee meetup turned into him asking if he could come to the apartment. Jennifer was out with friends, so it was just the two of us. He's taller now. Filled out. Looks more like a man than the boy I left 4 years ago. But when he walked in and saw me, his face crumpled, and suddenly he was that boy again. "I'm sorry, Dad," he said, and then he was in my arms, sobbing like his heart was breaking. "I'm so sorry. I should have stood up for you. I should have said something. I was a coward." "You were a kid," I told him. "You were a kid, and you were scared, and you did what you thought was right. It wasn't right. None of it was right. She turned us against you, Dad. She made us think you were the bad guy. And I believed her because it was easier than believing Mom was lying. Because if Mom was lying about you, what else was she lying about?" We talked for hours. He told me everything. How Sarah had been bad-mouthing me for years, long before the divorce. How she'd tell them stories about fights we had, but twist my words to make me sound cruel. How she'd cry to them about how lonely she was, how neglected she felt, and make them feel responsible for her happiness. He told me about Michael, how at first he seemed great, seemed like he really cared about Sarah and wanted to be part of the family. But then he started getting controlling, started telling Sarah who she could see, what she could do, started isolating her from her friends, started treating Jennifer and Marcus like they were in the way. And when I saw it happening, Marcus said, when I saw Mom go through exactly what she put you through, I realized we'd been so wrong about you. You never controlled her. You never isolated her. You never made her feel small. You loved her. You tried to make her happy. And she threw it away for a guy who did all the things she accused you of doing. He looked at me with tears streaming down his face. How do you forgive someone for that? How do you forgive yourself for being so blind? One day at a time, I told him. You just wake up every day and try to do better than you did the day before. That's all any of us can do. So that's where I am now. In my little apartment with my daughter sleeping in the spare room and my son trying to figure out how to rebuild a relationship he helped destroy. With my ex-wife somewhere across town, probably telling herself that she's the victim in all of this, that if only I'd been different, none of this would have happened. Maybe she's right. Maybe if I'd been different, more attentive, more emotionally available, more whatever it was she needed, none of this would have happened. But I don't think so. I think Sarah was always looking for something I couldn't give her. Not because I was deficient, but because what she wanted didn't exist. She wanted perfection. She wanted a husband who worked hard but was never tired, who provided for his family but was always emotionally present, who sacrificed everything but never needed anything in return. She wanted a fantasy. And when I turned out to be human, she decided I wasn't enough. You know what I've learned through all of this? Sometimes the people you love the most become the ones who destroy you. Not because they're evil, not because they set out with some master plan to ruin your life, but because they're human, flawed, selfish, capable of justifying anything if it means they get what they want. I've learned that betrayal doesn't break you, not permanently anyway. It teaches you who never deserved your heart in the first place. It shows you what you're capable of surviving. It forces you to rebuild yourself from the ground up, and sometimes the person you rebuild is stronger than the person you were. I've learned that family isn't always the people you're related to. Sometimes